Whip your wallet into shape. We'll take you through financial boot camp and show you why winning the war on debt requires dollars and uncommon sense. Plus, a CEO goes undercover for his toughest assignment, working for his own company. The good?
It's not just a place I work, it's my passion.
And the bad.
It definitely makes me want to try to help in some way.
On today's 700 Club.
Well, welcome to the 700 Club. It's called the Stand Up for Religious Freedom Rally. Americans are protesting today against a key part of President Obama's health care plan.
It says that religious organizations have to provide coverage for contraception. Paul Strand explains why the protesters believe it represents a major threat to religious liberty.
In March, more than 60,000 protesters came together in 145 communities to protest Obamacare mandates. These mandates will force them to support health care plans that offer abortion-inducing drugs, contraceptives, and sterilization to their employees. But for many, that runs directly counter to their religion. Rally organizer Pat Mahoney.
This is the most dangerous and egregious attack on religious freedom in the history of the United States.
It's disturbing enough to hold a second nationwide rally in some 155 communities this time. Pro-life leader Lila Rose.
Our liberties are under attack right now. Our religious freedom is under attack right now, and taking that stand is essential.
Rob Schenck is working at the highest levels to fight these mandates and sees unprecedented unity forming. He just met with the Pope's personal ambassador to the U.S.
We talked at great length about the necessary alliance between evangelicals and Catholics, and I have never sensed a closer bond with our Catholic friends than over this issue.
This latest rally was deliberately set on the 223rd anniversary of James Madison introducing the Bill of Rights, which begins with the guarantee of religious liberty.
We do have a concept of a proper separation of church and state. In this instance, the President of the United States has said, I will tell you how you will practice your religion. That is outrageous.
It's insanity what the administration is pushing on the Catholic Church, pro-life people, Catholics.
For evangelicals, it'd be the same as telling us in our institutions we could not pray in the name of Jesus, or we could not read the Bible.
And this is an egregious violation of the First Amendment, a flagrant violation of the First Amendment.
Mahoney points out that some of America's top religious leaders say they're willing to pay a steep price to oppose these mandates.
Dr. Richard Land and Rick Warren, Pastor Rick Warren, both said, I will go to jail before I would comply with an order like this.
Lila Rose sees a thread going right from legalized abortion to what critics call this present threat against religious liberty. This forcing believers to buy into plans that pay for abortion-inducing drugs.
Americans in increasing numbers are agreeing that people should be able to be born. They should be able to live.
But since the 1973 Supreme Court Roe v. Wade decision, America has declared abortion legal.
If we allow that fundamental attack on the unborn child, that fundamental attack on the most basic human right, life, we should not be so surprised when they come for our religious liberty.
In other words, these protesters say if the nation doesn't respect your life, it won't respect your liberty. But as this rally shows, these Americans insist they'll stand up and fight that disrespect. Paul Strand, CBN News, Washington.
It's amazing how people aren't understanding this and they just don't get it. Yesterday, Nancy Pelosi was asked in a news conference why 43 Catholic organizations had filed suit. Didn't she understand that this ruling by the Obama administration was against Catholic doctrine? It was fascinating, her response, that these organizations didn't speak for the church, that this wasn't something that was ex cathedra. Well, Lee Webb has the rest of our top stories from the CBN newsroom. Lee?
Gordon, Canadian lawmakers have passed a bill that forces Catholic schools to violate their beliefs about homosexuality. The new law says all schools, even religious ones, must let students form gay clubs on campus. Catholic schools that receive government funding had objected to this. They argue they should not be forced to accept student clubs that go against church teachings. But Ontario's premier said discrimination based on sexual orientation is no longer acceptable. He says those are values that transcend any one faith. Republicans are calling for a special counsel to investigate recent leaks to the media about important national security issues. The leaks include details of a recent covert cyber attack on Iran. Critics accuse the administration of leaking the stories to help President Obama look strong on national security in this election year. The top 4 leaders of Congress's intelligence committees condemned the leaks. Those stories contain secrets they say compromise America's national security as well as that of our allies. They plan to draft legislation that would restrict classified intelligence and punish those who can't keep secrets.
To have all 4 of us come forward today and talk about the severity of these leaks, I hope sends a very clear message about how dangerous this has become.
When people say they don't want to work with the United States because they can't trust us to keep a secret, that's serious.
On our CBN Newswatch program, I spoke to Cliff May, president of the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, and I asked him if he thought these leaks had come straight from the White House.
It's certainly a possibility. Does that mean that people were necessarily thinking about revealing classified information? No, but if somebody says, you know, the boss, the president, is not getting credit for all the good things he's doing, for example, in cyber warfare, let's get some stories out there. Well, it's very possible that somebody's going to say, okay, let me go to a reporter, let me talk. And I've been a reporter, you're a reporter. Well, you can sometimes get more information out of somebody than somebody means to reveal.
Rick Santorum may be out of the presidential race, but he's still very much involved. He has started a new organization called Patriot Voices. Santorum performed well in the GOP primaries by combining pro-family values with a constitutionally conservative message. And he told our David Brody that will be the focus of his new group.
It's where conservatives can go to make sure that their voice is going to be heard on all the issues, national security, economic, and of course moral cultural, because they do blend together, and constitutional. I always say it used to be the 3-legged stool. I now call it the 4-legged stool. Much more stable stool.
Santorum says the defeat of President Obama is the organization's priority. His goal is to get 1 million people to join and start influencing political races as well as legislation. You can always get David's latest political coverage by checking out the Brody File on cbnnews.com, and you can always watch his weekly Brody File program on our website. It's posted on Friday mornings. A leading Muslim cleric says Jerusalem will be the new capital of Egypt if the Muslim Brotherhood candidate wins Egypt's presidential election. The cleric told a campaign rally that Egypt's capital would not be Cairo or Mecca or Medina, but Jerusalem. He says Egyptian Islamists will either pray in the streets of Jerusalem or be martyred there. A runoff election will take place in Egypt next week. The Muslim Brotherhood candidate is Mohammed Morsi. He's facing Egypt's former Prime Minister, Ahmed Shafiq. Gordon?
It's a very serious situation, and when you understand the motivation here, the Muslim Brotherhood, they're the ones that assassinated Anwar Sadat. And they did so because he went to the Knesset and he recognized Israel's right to exist. That whole peace accord that he crafted, the Camp David peace accords back in 1978, it cost him his life. And now that same group is poised to take control of Egypt and its military. And the disconnect here is the head of our foreign intelligence for the Obama administration thinks that the Muslim Brotherhood is not a religious organization, that it's just a political group. Well, nothing could be further from the truth. And if they win, say goodbye to the Arab Spring, we'll have a new theocracy in Egypt that will be bent on the destruction of Israel. Terry?
Well, coming up, if you want financial peace, you must prepare for war. Up next, one Army vet shares his battlefield wisdom for conquering debt. Right after this.
You know, the Boone family has a lot to be thankful for. Oh, sure, at times our core values have been shaken and tested, but they've never failed us. The economic future has never been more uncertain than it is right now. Yet, as I plan ahead for my grandchildren and great-grandchildren, I'm certain of one thing. My decision to leave them a golden legacy is right on the money. I have peace of mind knowing my family is going to be able to face an uncertain future with certainty and real hope, with real money, gold. Why don't you call Swiss America? for an important new CD and special report discussing the future of money with economist and author Craig R. Smith. It's free with this special TV offer. Rediscover gold. Ensure your family's future. Call Swiss America, the gold standard. And you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Monday. With no mom or dad around,
I remember so many nights not having any food to eat, not having anyone to say I love you.
only an abusive uncle,
He told me if I ever told anyone, my aunt wouldn't love me anymore.
and an alcoholic aunt.
She just looked at me and she said, it was your fault.
One teen goes looking for love in all the wrong places.
Whoever said they loved me first, here I am.
On Monday's 700 Club.
Many Americans are fighting a losing battle against debt. One financial planner says there is a path to victory. It just means going through the basic training you need to win your financial fight.
Basic training, where ordinary Americans are transformed into soldiers ready for battle. Drills teach immediate and correct responses to some of the most uncomfortable or unnatural situations. It works on the battlefield, and financial planner Steve Repak says it can work in the battle against debt as well. He should know. Repak served 12 years in the Army, then retired with massive amounts of credit card debt. That debt forced him to utilize his military know-how and become a certified financial planner to fight his way out. Now Repak shares his secrets to financial success in his new book, Dollars and Uncommon Sense, Basic Training for Your Money. Through worksheets and helpful web links, the Army vet shows how to retain your mental and emotional mindset towards money. Repak argues that too often money problems result when people rely too much on common sense, when instead they should apply a little uncommon sense.
Well, Steve Repak joins us now. Steve, welcome to 700 Club.
Thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Why is it for today's military families, so many of them are getting into massive debt? You had 12 years, and then at the end of that, you had over $30,000 in debt. Why? What are the fundamentals here?
We know that we like to buy things. It makes us feel good. And serving in the military, you're under a tremendous amount of stress. And one way to cope with that stress is to buy things. Mm-hmm. And that's not just for the military, that's for most people, is that it's a coping mechanism that they buy things, makes them feel good, then they turn around, that good feeling goes away, and they go back out charging again, and then all of a sudden you have all this debt.
Okay, let's talk about your book, Dollar and Uncommon Sense, Basic Training for Your Money, which I love the title. What do you mean by uncommon sense?
Uncommon sense is when you think and do different things for most people. I mean, most people are living paycheck to paycheck. They have, debt. They have nothing in savings. And if you want your finances to be better, all you have to do is start using a little bit of uncommon sense. Start doing things differently.
All right. Well, tell us about the 10-10-80 rule, which I love. That I actually talk about that one myself. That it's one of the fundamental principles that anybody can use, and it will lead to success in your finances.
Exactly, is that, there's not too many rules that actually apply to everybody. For example, what your income is, but it doesn't matter if you're making $100 a week or $100,000 a year. The 10-10-80 rule works like this, is that I give away the first 10%, I save the next 10%, and then I live off the rest. Because most people, they do the opposite. They spend everything they make, they save what's left over, and they give only when possible. So if you want to have money, all you have to do is do the total opposite for most people.
All right, how do you get the 10% that you're saving? How do you get that working for you?
How do you get the working for you? I mean, what I would recommend is that you sit down with a certified financial planner and have them put together a plan that suits your needs. Because most people, they have different ways they think about money. They worry about risk and expenses and things like that. So, the big thing is that, if you have money, pay down that credit card, because that credit card, they're charging you 16%, 20% interest. That's guaranteed. So it's better to earn maybe 1% on your money than sit there and pay 16% to somebody else.
You are a certified financial planner, so we're sitting down.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What are the traits that your clients, the ones that really make it, what traits do they have that sort of set them apart?
You know, something that I learned, I left the Army with $32,000 worth of credit card debt, and I mean, it was painful. I mean, I live paycheck to paycheck. You know, here I am worrying night after night, you know, how am I going to sit there and get this debt paid off? I basically said that, hey, I'm just going to live with it. It'll, you know, if it gets paid off, it gets paid off. If not, it's not. But, you know, once I sat down with people that had money, they all had these 6 common traits. And it wasn't because they were doctors and attorneys and they made a whole bunch of money, but they just, number one is that they spent less money than what they made. The second thing is that they had little or no debt. The third thing is that they saved. They had long-term plans for their money. They didn't allow their emotions to affect their financial decisions. And the last one is that they started saving early in their careers, which, you know, if you're later in your career, you say, well, gosh, it's too late for me, which I believe that it's never too late, but you still have control of those other traits.
Yeah, you may want to adopt a 10, 20,
exactly.
70, you know, just increase the amount that you save every year.
Exactly.
What do you think about the stock market right now? Yesterday, it roared off. Spain had a good auction of its bonds. And then the Fed chief comes in, Bernanke, and says he starts talking about the fiscal cliff and an overall slowdown in the U.S. economy. Would you be putting your money today in stocks?
You know, that's a great question. You know, it's like I follow, what does my book say? It says that I do not allow my emotions to affect my financial decisions. So the stock market is very, very emotional. And so if you're going to make decisions based on the direction of the stock market, most likely you're going to fail. So, you know, I believe that you put a plan together and you follow that plan. You know, if you're riding in an airplane and you start experiencing some turbulence, you don't sit there and jump out the airplane. You kind of ride it out and hopefully it lands.
So you would tell people just fasten your seatbelt.
Fasten your seatbelts. That would be some great advice right now.
You'll get to the destination.
Exactly.
For somebody, say, in their 50s, what would be a mix you would recommend between investments?
Well, that's a great question. You know, like I said, that determines on your personal situation. And you know, if, for example, I just believe that, you know, you should have a strong foundation, which that's built on cash. You should, you know, your first goal is that, hey, I need to have 2 years of living expenses built up in savings, and that should be your primary goal, because if something bad happens, you know, if the stock market's down, you don't want to be pulling money out of the stock market at that time. So you want to really build up those safe, short-term, liquid, strong things that will sit there and hopefully weather the storm for you.
So you're recommending a large allocation of cash.
Well, like I said, that determines for each, you know, each individual, and that's what's kind of hard is that, you know, there's no such thing as there's no such thing as one advice fits all, and that's why I say that, hey, sit down with a certified financial planner to talk about your unique situation, because those generics, well, you should have it this way or that way. There's a lot of other things that you have to take in consideration. So, like the first thing, you know, concentrate on the basics. That's why it's called basic, you know, basic training for your money. You know, let's forget about your allocation. Tell me that you're spending less money that you're making. Tell me that you have little or no debt. Tell me that you're saving. And once you got that stuff straight, then we can sit there and get you on a good plan.
Okay, good advice. The book is called Dollars and Uncommon Sense, Basic Training for Your Money. Steve, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
All right, Terry, over to you.
Well, coming up later, one top CEO reveals the most important thing you need to get ahead in the business world. But first, a college student is hooked on drugs and her mom and dad are oblivious.
I don't know why they had no clue what was going on. They never think that they were just living in their own little world, in their own little bubble of Whitney is okay and Whitney's perfect.
But her parents weren't going to be clueless for long. Watch what happened when they found out. That's next.
Hi, I'm Dr. Joyce Brothers. Those of us who are independent and live alone shouldn't do so without having emergency protection. And for reliability and peace of mind, I recommend the Alert USA Emergency Response System.
With Alert USA, simply wear our pendant in and around your home. And if you ever fall or otherwise need assistance, just press the button to be connected to a specially trained operator who can summon help anytime, day or night.
I believe that in these tough times, Alert USA provides the best emergency support and value for your dollar.
Right now, for a limited time, get the Alert USA system for just 50 cents a day. You'll also get our free 911 emergency cell phone that'll protect you when you're away from home or in a blackout. A phone so advanced, it can even take your blood pressure. Plus, we'll include a free smoke detector with 24-hour monitoring. Only Alert USA protects you and your home no matter where you are.
For a free Alert USA brochure, call now at 1-800-839-9639. That's 1-800-839-9639.
John Mapes is 42, mortgage, married, 2 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. John can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $25 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll search the pick of insurers like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. John's wife, Carrie, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or visit SelectQuote.com.
When Whitney Long started doing drugs, she didn't do it because she wanted to get high. She did it because she wanted to ease her pain. Soon those drugs became her relief until her parents paid a visit to her dorm room and they learned that their daughter was an addict.
I was raised in a Christian home where I went to church every Sunday and every Wednesday. But when I was 13 years old, I was babysitting. And a friend of mine asked me if he could come over and see me and hang out. And so I said yes. This guy came over and he ended up raping me when I was 13 years old. I felt such shame and such just disgust, and I felt like everything, like it had been stripped from me, that I didn't think that the Lord could possibly want me. It just went downhill. I started doing drugs every chance I could get to just numb the feeling of pain that I had. From ages 14 to 19, I was extremely addicted to doing drugs and drinking, and I would give myself to guys continuously, just looking for some type of fulfillment, some type of love that I was searching for. So I ended up extremely addicted to cocaine and heroin and was shooting up every day, multiple times a day. My parents had enrolled me in college, and it wasn't by choice, but they were like, you really need to go. I don't know why they had no clue what was going on. They never, I think that they were just living in their own little world, in their own little bubble of Whitney is okay and Whitney's perfect. The addiction was just completely taking over me. Every bit of money that my parents sent me, I would take it and spend it on drugs. I spent $2,500 in 8 days on heroin and cocaine. 2 weeks later, my dad came to visit me. When he saw me, my dad immediately knew. He shook me and he's like, you look like a junkie. You are a junkie. And he broke down and started crying, and we talked all night long, and then he took me home. He said, you need to go to rehab, which I was there for 5 days, and all they did was detox my system and then put me back out, and say, come to these 12-step meetings that are supposed to help you. The day that I got out of the rehab, I went and used and got very high. My mom had invited me to go to the conference immediately after I had gotten out of the rehab. She said, I think that I would like you to go with me. Let's just go and spend some time together. And so I went and bought about $500 worth of drugs from money I had stolen and took it on the airplane with me and got high on the way there, and then shot up once I was there and at this conference. My mom and Karen Wheaton had previously been friends, and they just hooked up again and were talking. And when Karen met me, she told my mom, she said, I really think that your daughter is the reason that we were here this week. And so throughout the week, they started praying for me, and I didn't know all of this until afterwards, but they were ministering to me through their prayers.
I think it was a Wednesday, and yeah, it was a Wednesday, and my mom and I had gotten in a huge fight, and I fell asleep on the couch in that hotel room. My mom just began praying that night that she stayed up till 4 in the morning, just praying and interceding over me. And then the next morning, I woke up and I was completely delivered and set free, and I had no craving for the drugs anymore. I didn't go through one withdrawal. The Lord delivered me, and then He took my hand and just jerked me into a deep relationship with Him that was, I just felt like I had to have been submersed. If I hadn't have been submersed in that deliverance and in that relationship, then I probably would have gone back to the drugs. And it just started such a deep process of healing. I just got married this year on March 13th to a man who was a virgin. And so that was just a huge testimony in itself of the restoration that God brings. And it was a huge deal to me just because of my past. It just spoke volumes to me of God's love and how He doesn't hold us. He doesn't hold us captive to the past, and He doesn't remember our sins, but He forgives us. If you are dealing with shame and pain from the addiction and the loss of a relationship with God, or never having a relationship with God, I would say that to you that there's hope and that there's freedom, and to never believe the lie of the enemy that your life is without purpose, because there is a purpose for every person on the face of this earth, and that God had a destiny when He created every one of us.
God not only doesn't hold us accountable to our past, He says that He comes to set us free, to give us a new beginning. And the one that the Son sets free, the Word says, is free indeed. You know, when something happens to us that is abusive, invasive to our own personhood, then often there are wounds and scars, there's pain, there is shame, and we feel like we can't come out from under that. And then we dig a hole that's deeper than the hole that got us into it originally. And when we strive to get ourselves out of that place, we just make a bigger mess. Jesus wants us to come to Him, and He says, anyone who comes to Him will receive. All you have to do is call upon the name of the Lord. Why does He say that? Because He wants us to choose Him the same way that He's chosen us. He doesn't want robots for His kids. He wants children who love Him, who understand how much He loves them, who understand the price He paid to set us free, and who want Him the same way that He wants us. You see, that's what gives us the freedom to be His kids and to walk with Him and to know Him and to receive what He wants to give us. It's not being shoved at us, it's being offered to us. And today God's offering that to you, right in the midst of where you are, right in the midst of your pain, right in the midst of the mess you've made. I did the same thing, thought I was making it better and only made it worse. But then Jesus. And that's the bottom line, isn't it? But then Jesus came. He came to me. I didn't even know that there was an opportunity to have a personal relationship with Him. I had head knowledge, but no relationship. And maybe that's where you're at right now too. You know, going to church doesn't make you a Christian. A Christian is someone who knows Jesus and decides to give Him their life and follow after Him, to be a disciple of His. If you don't know Jesus today, you can. You can. He wants to be known. He wants you to belong to Him, and He wants to give all of Himself to you. That's more than you could ask or hope for. It means forgiveness for the past, means hope for the future, a brand new beginning. Clean slate, wouldn't that be wonderful? You can have it today. You can have it today. It's not just for Whitney, it's not just for me, it's for you too. The question is, will you take it? You see, in the end, it always boils down to a decision, doesn't it? I can tell you about my experience. Whitney shared hers with us, but what are you going to do in your life? Right now, the invitation sits before you, and Jesus has opened His arms. You know, he did that for all of us on the cross. He spread out his arms and he died for us so that our sin could be covered, so that we could have a new beginning, so that all of what he is could fill us and make us whole. Today, ask him to come into your heart and your life. That's the beginning of the whole journey. It's you saying yes to him. You can do that right now if you pray with me. Let's just pray together. Let's pray now. Bow your head and just speak to him from your heart. Jesus, Jesus, I know some things about you, but I don't know you. I want to. I'm coming to you today, and I don't really understand why you want me in the condition that I'm in, but I'm stepping out in faith because of what I've seen you do in the lives of others and because of who you say you are. So today, filled with sin and shame and having made a mess of things, I come to you. I come to you humbly, Lord, and I ask you to forgive my sins. They are great, they are many, and you know each and every one. I am so sorry. I accept that your death on the cross covers my sin, and I receive your forgiveness today. Jesus, I want to know you in the innermost part of my being. I want you to walk with me. I want to walk with you. Will you fill me with your Holy Spirit today? Take my life, take everything that I am, all that I have, any abilities or talents that you've given me, even my shortcomings, God, just take the whole thing. Use my life for your glory. Teach me how to hear your voice. Teach me your ways. Change the way I think and open the eyes and ears of my understanding so I can know how to do things your way, how to think your way. I want my life to count for you. I want you to be the Savior of my soul and the Lord of my life. And today I say yes to you. And it's in your name, Jesus, that I pray. Amen. If you've prayed that prayer, then you've begun an amazing relationship that's going to change your life radically. We'd like to help you move into the next steps that will help that happen. We've put together a packet just for you. It's called A New Day, and it's filled with information from the Word of God, about God, all information for you, and this is free. So's the number to receive it. If you just call that number on your screen, 1-800-759-0700, say, I prayed the prayer, and I'd like the New Day packet. We'll send this out to you right away. You can also get it by logging on to cbn.com. Gordon?
Well, up next, he spent 250 days per year on the road and was making international phone calls 18 hours a day. CEO Joel Manby reveals his secret to success. And here's a hint, it's not working around the clock.
Looking back over everything that had happened in my life, and in running from God and thinking that He wouldn't forgive somebody that had done the things that I had, how stupid I was. That was the most miserable time of my life. Couldn't do enough drugs and I couldn't do enough alcohol to make it stop. For the first time in this whole ordeal, I prayed, Jesus, fix me. The guilt, the addiction, all gone. There's everything in trusting God. Just take that one step, that's all it takes.
If you want an adjustable bed, shop by phone and save on a new Craftmatic, the best-selling adjustable brand ever. Call for prices and free information. There's no obligation. Our everyday low prices are guaranteed. Compare us to the leading memory foam brand and save hundreds, even $1,000 or more. Discover our 30-day in-home trial. We won't be undersold. There's no hassle, no pressure, no pain. No salesman will come to your home. Convenient delivery, installation, and in-home service in the continental U.S. Watch TV, read, eat, rest, and relax at the touch of a button. Enjoy personal heat and soothing massage at a price you can afford. So why consider anything else? Discover Craftmatic for less, up to 50% less. Call for prices and free information and save hundreds, even $1,000 or more on luxurious memory foam. There's no obligation. Call now.
Call 1-800-786-5190. That's 1-800-786-5190. Call 1-800-786-5190. Call now.
The first time we met, he came in and the first thing he said was, wow.
It was beautiful.
Thank you. There's so many times that I look at him and I'm like, I met you through Christian Mingle.
Joining is easy and free.
so go to christianmingle.com today.
A deadly crash that made national headlines. The only survivor, 22-year-old Hannah Luce, daughter of Teen Mania founder Ron Luce.
We're just being there to love her.
Ron Luce gives us the latest on his daughter's recovery on the next 700 Club Interactive. And welcome back to the 700 Club. Members of the famous Crystal Cathedral will relocate next summer. The Roman Catholic Diocese of Orange County, California purchased the glass pane building in bankruptcy proceedings for a little more than $57 million. That deal will allow Crystal Cathedral's congregation to meet at a nearby Catholic church for free through December of next year. Robert Schuller founded the church and its Hour of Power television ministry. The building was sold off to pay off more than $40 million of debt. An Operation Blessing food bank is helping save lives in Niger. A recent report named Niger the worst place to be for a mother. Nutrition and health concerns plague the West African state, but Operation Blessing is stepping in to help there. OB set up a food bank that provides food even during times of drought and famine. During harvest times, families sell their crops to the bank. Then when food is scarce, they're able to use their profits to buy from the food bank at a much lower price. One woman says that without Operation Blessing's food bank, she does not know where she would find food to feed her children. And you can find out more about Operation Blessing by going to its website at ob.org. Gordon and Terry will be back right after this.
I got into debt, $50,000 worth of debt, a little more actually. I had to declare bankruptcy. I was forced to move in with my parents. I began going to church with them, and that was the turning point. Gave my life to Christ. I watch the 700 Club, and you see the work they're doing. They're out there changing lives, saving souls. The more I grow in my faith, I want to be obedient to the Lord. I'm Mark Birchie, and I give to CBN.
If you have diabetes and you're on Medicare, call now for a new pain-free meter. These new meters are more accurate, they're easier to use, and the best news is you don't have to prick your fingers anymore. Call now, and Arriva Medical will send you one of these new meters for free. And if you have Medicare, your testing supplies may also be covered. Arriva makes it simple. They bill Medicare directly. There are no upfront costs. And they deliver your supplies right to your door for free. With these new meters, there's no coding, you don't have to prick your fingers, and some of these meters even talk.
Your blood glucose reading is 122.
Call 1-800-284-4105. We will send you a free Betty Crocker Diabetes Cookbook filled with delicious recipes.
Call Arriva today. You'd be glad you did.
Monday. With no mom or dad around,
I remember so many nights not having any food to eat, not having anyone to say I love you.
Only an abusive uncle.
He told me if I ever told anyone, my aunt wouldn't love me anymore.
And an alcoholic aunt.
She just looked at me and she said, it was your fault.
One teen goes looking for love in all the wrong places.
Whoever said they loved me first, here I am.
On Monday's 700 Club.
When Joel Manby interviewed for a job at Hershon Family Entertainment, he was 20 minutes late. And this was in the days before GPS, and Joel simply had gotten lost. He got the job anyway because the powers that be noticed something special about Joel. And years later, the rest of America got to see what made Joel special too, after he appeared on an episode of Undercover Boss.
Joel Manby went undercover at Silver Dollar City, one of the 26 theme parks he oversees, on the CBS show Undercover Boss. His leadership style drew national attention. Viewers couldn't believe his employees' job satisfaction.
It's not just a place I work, it's my passion.
And were perhaps more surprised to see a boss who really cared.
I have a lot of emotion for Albert. I really respect his passion and energy. It's great because you can channel that, and it definitely makes me want to try to help in some way.
Joel's caring attitude wasn't just for the cameras. It's part of his company's leadership culture. In his book, Love Works, Joel explores the 7 biblical principles that guide his corporation and shares how leading with love can turn the business world upside down.
Please welcome to the 700 Club, Joel Manby. Joel, it's great to have you here.
Great to be here, Gordon. Thank you.
You've sort of become a hero after that episode, and have job applications started to come in? Are you getting swamped with people that want to come work for you?
Well, it really was an incredible response. We had 18 million people view the program that week on Undercover Boss, and I was overwhelmed with the response we got from people all over the country. And it was really their frustration in their day-to-day work, and they wanted leaders that cared about them, and they liked what they saw in our program, and it really showed me we had a leadership crisis in this country.
What do you base your leadership principles on? What's the fundamental?
The fundamental is we base it on love. It's the principle of love right out of the Bible. And you know, I had a 30-year business career, including being CEO of Saab North America in the auto industry. I have a Harvard MBA, helped start Saturn, and all those years, no one ever taught me what was the most important thing in business, and surprisingly, it's love. And I didn't learn that till I got to Hershen Entertainment.
I would imagine Harvard wouldn't teach you that.
No, they don't. It was a great school. I loved it, but not love.
All right, you base it on 1 Corinthians,
yes,
chapter 13,
yes,
where it says this is what love does. And you like to tell people love is not an emotion; it's a verb.
Yes,
this is what it does. What are some of the principles?
Well, first of all, people misperceive love a lot, and they think of it as emotional. They think it is of the American love of emotion and romantic, like Hollywood teaches us. This is love, the verb. It's how you treat other people. It doesn't matter how you feel about them. It's how you treat them. And we have 7 words that we took right out of 1 Corinthians, and that's what we use to train our people. We actually train our employees to love each other. And that's very rare in the world of business.
All right, I'm stunned with that one. I didn't know you did that. All right, describe how you do that.
Well,
what's that training seminar like?
The reason people feel that way is because they think of it as love, the emotion. These 7 words, being patient, kind, truthful, trusting, unselfish, dedicated, forgiving, those are good, solid principles. They are applicable whether you're a parent, whether you run a PTA, or whether you run a Fortune 500 company. I think there's a big false notion out there in this country that you have to be cruel and hard to be successful in business. I have learned at Hershen that you can be profitable and caring. You can be loving and accountable, and we've proven that, and that's what I talk about in the book we wrote about love and using love in work, because I have been in the rough and tumble for-profit world my whole life. I've been very despondent in that world, and I've learned that this is the best way to lead.
You're right that the business culture in America right now is very focused on profit and literally on a quarterly basis.
Right.
And if you can't get profit by growing your margin, or you can't get profit by growing revenue, you get profit by cutting expenses, which usually means letting huge numbers of people go.
Right.
Why is this formula better?
We've proven that we can be very profitable and use these principles. Our company has had double-digit returns for our shareholders for a decade. We've grown every year in this recession except one, and we've outperformed every one of our competitors financially, but we've still led with love. We're not the only ones.
That's got to be one of the best track records in the country.
We've laid very few people off in this recession, and we have grown through it. And we've made some very difficult decisions, and please don't misunderstand me. We make difficult decisions, and if we have time, we'll talk about that. But we're not the only ones. Chick-fil-A, great fast food company, they lead with love. They outperform McDonald's, they outperform Burger King. I just reject this false notion that you have to be a certain way to be profitable. We have to hit our numbers. I have to hit my numbers, but we can do it in a way that's caring for people, including when you have to let people go. You still there's a right and a wrong way to do it.
All right. Well, how do you let people go with love?
That's a great question. You know, first of all, if someone's not working in their passion and they're not competent at it, they don't really want to be there anyway. So I would argue it is loving to get them where they're passionate and competent. I think it's more important how you go about doing it. For instance, I said we had to lose very few people in the recession. We did have to lay some people off corporately. We gave them all 6 months' notice that it was coming. We helped them find new jobs, and all of them but one had found a job before their last day at our company because we were so helpful and proactively trying to help them. And the one that hadn't,
That's a miracle.
we got them a job within a month. And we tracked with him and stayed with him. And there is a way I think you can do that in a loving way. And another thing is no one should ever be surprised when they're let go. I tell people in our company, if they're surprised when they're let go, you did something wrong. And I have stopped people from being let go when I saw that there wasn't any written track record that they knew it was coming. So a lot of it's how you go about doing it.
And all right, lesson learned. What did you learn about your company when you went undercover?
I learned that we have incredible employees and that the culture was even stronger than I thought it was. And it is not me that has done this. This is the Hershin family that has done this. I'm just the steward of what they've created. And I'm trying to put it in writing and put it in a vernacular that we can train people all over the country. But it's a very strong culture. And I also learned, as I said earlier, there is a crisis in this country because of all the response I got from the show, that other people want to learn how to lead with love. And I really believe that. There's a lot of dissatisfied people. And there's also a lot of Christians out there who want to learn how to practice their faith every day when they go to work. And they're frustrated because they don't know how. And the book that I wrote, Love Works, talks about how you can live out your faith in the dog-eat-dog work world and still be pleasing to Jesus.
The stories of people that work for bosses that are abusive, that, literally every day they wake up and they don't want to go in. And, what would you tell them? What should they do?
There's actually a chapter in the book about a lady named Judy who's an executive assistant, and she has more impact on the culture of her company than anybody else. And I really do believe with all my heart that everybody can make a culture better. Every time you come into contact with somebody, you can make their day better or make their day worse. That's something my mother taught me. And now there's no doubt if the leader doesn't support it, it's harder over time. And I think some people have a decision to make at some point, but I don't think they should ever be discouraged and feel like they can't have an impact, because everybody can. Everybody can love other people.
And just by doing that, it's going to get infectious within the culture?
It absolutely gets infectious.
Well, what about the Hershin family transformed you? I mean, here you are working 18-hour days, traveling a great deal, hitting your numbers, getting promoted, getting more money, but having less life. What about them transformed you?
They saved my life, honestly. I was running Saab North America. I was traveling 80% of the time because now I had Asia as well. So it was Asia and North America.
That's a long haul.
It's a long haul. My marriage was in trouble. I know, you started many stations, and you know, I read your bio, I know, you understand.
I didn't travel as much as you, but 4 months out of the year, I was on the road.
Very different. You know what it does to your family.
Oh, yeah.
And that was in trouble. My family was in trouble. And, you know, I just was very despondent. I left Saab to try to make it better, and then I ran a .com that went bankrupt, basically, and almost went Chapter 11. And what I learned in that is I was just very, very despondent. And one night, Jack Hershin called me. I was on the board of Hershin Entertainment, and I had no experience in the business, and yet he asked me to be chairman. And that was totally a God thing. And God basically pulled me out of this complete despondency I was in, put me into this company, and it has changed my life, because I see now that you can lead with love, create a great culture, and do some wonderful things for employees. And I'll just give you one example of one of the words in the book is unselfishness. Our employees give into a fund. We match it dollar for dollar as a company, and all that money is used to help our employees in need. And this year, we're going to help 10% of our seasonal workforce with some kind of financial assistance to help them get through this crisis we're in as a country financially. And it creates great loyalty, obviously they're very motivated and loyal to the company. But it's an idea that companies all over the country could do. And one of the reasons I wrote the book is I'm hoping that other companies will copy us and do programs like this. I don't think we have to have such a horrible business environment that we do in this country. I'm frankly tired of businesses getting bashed in this kind of class warfare that's going on. I think we need to do a better job as leaders to lift good companies up.
And your customers recognize that.
They absolutely recognize it.
When you walk into an environment where you know there's love, you just respond automatically. You may not even do it consciously, but on an emotional level, you connect with that.
Yeah, whether it's your station or Chick-fil-A or at one of the Hershon parks like Silver Dollar City, people go into there, it feels like family. And we've had employees there for 40 years, seasonal employees coming back for 40 years. Customers feel that. People want to spend their money with companies that they love and admire, and I think they do, the Hershon properties.
Okay, love works. Variation on love never fails. 7 timeless principles for effective leaders. Whether you're an employee or an employer, I encourage you to get it. Let's all encourage one another to have a culture at love in our families, in our work, all around us, in our neighborhoods, in our cities. It'll make a difference. If you want it, it's available nationwide.
All the proceeds from the book go to that foundation that I talked about, all the royalties. Wow. So we're hoping to raise a lot of money for that foundation.
Good. All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Terry, over to you.
Well, we've scoured Facebook, Twitter, our inbox, and even our chat room for your questions. Coming up next, it's time for some of the answers. So stay tuned for Bring It On when we come back.
When you look in the mirror, could you imagine erasing years of aging?
That's what I used to look like.
Lifestyle Lift has options that take as little as an hour to deliver a difference you can see.
I am 70 years old and I feel great.
Call now for a free brochure. It's a quick and easy way to get a more natural, youthful appearance. Lifestyle Lift, a breakthrough medical approach that helps remove wrinkles, frown lines, and sagging skin. Call now for a free brochure. Consultations are free. Call Lifestyle Lift today.
From CBN.
Surprise! How did you get one?
In every life, there are tests.
Hi, Debbie. What's up? I've got a really sick boy here in the unit. He's wished for one of those Hollow 9 things.
Challenges of character and faith.
What's the matter, Chris?
I don't really feel the way I thought I would.
Superbook!
Join the Superbook DVD Club and get Superbook's newest episode, The Test, the story of Abraham and Isaac, plus 2 copies to share with others, all for your gift of $25.
Go get Isaac, your only son, and I will show you a mountain where you must sacrifice him to me.
With your continued support, you'll receive 3 copies of each new episode as they become available.
Come on! We've got to help Isaac!
Superbook DVD Club. It's an entertaining way to build a strong spiritual foundation in the children you love, in a way they'll love to watch the whole year through. Superbook, The Test, the story of Abraham and Isaac. Available now.
Jody Fry was working 2 jobs and still struggling to pay the bills until he found a way to boost his income by 70% and cut his work hours in half.
When Jody Fry lost his job, he thought it would be easy to find another. He was wrong. He remained unemployed for 1 year. That taxed the family emotionally and financially.
It was tough, and it was just no place to go with it.
Our children were young and we'd just bought a house, and so there was this immense pressure of, now what do we do?
So when Jody got not 1 but 2 job offers, he took both. The family's finances started to rebound, but they were all paying a price for Jody's long hours.
It became normal that I wasn't going to be around for dinner. You know, I'd leave at 5 o'clock in the morning and get home around probably 7 o'clock at night and then go downstairs and work. Every time I'd hear that, "Oh, it's okay, Dad, that you can't be there," it just tore me up.
But the family couldn't seem to make it work financially on 1 salary, so Jody kept working and missing time with his family.
On the morning train ride in, I would actually sleep a lot because I didn't sleep at night. Most of my lunches were working lunches for the other job. And then as soon as I hit the train to come back home, I'd be on the phone making phone calls. My vacations were all spent doing sales calls.
After years of working at that pace, Jody was exhausted. He quit his full-time job to focus on sales. At the same time, he started to watch the 700 Club.
I heard Pat talking about, bringing God the tithes and that he would just pour out his blessings on you. That's what really started opening up my eyes.
Jody and Vicki began to tithe and gave to CBN. Over the next 2 years, Jody says his sales of business equipment soared. Looking back, he realized he was making more money working half the hours he'd previously worked doing 2 jobs.
Factually, there's been a 70% increase in my sales volume, working less time. And when I start to think about that, I'm like, there's no way I could have set the stage for that. That's just God saying, hey, you're starting to pay attention to it.
Today, the Frys are members of CBN's Chairman's Circle. Jody says he no longer misses meals with the family, and he loves the time he's able to spend with his teenagers.
I've got 50% more time to be a husband and a dad, and I've got 70% more income coming in. I would definitely encourage people to tithe, to watch 700 Club if they don't understand the principle and what that means to them. And really, the challenge would be is what are you waiting for?
God's inviting us to get our lives in order, to get our house in order. You know, whether it's the business and the way that we run it, the leadership in our household, how we're raising our children, how we're responding to each other, because He wants us to experience the fullness of life. And that comes when we listen to what He's telling us and when we see it as truth and respond to it. You just heard Him say, I wish you'd watch the 700 Club and find out what the principles are all about. That's what we've just shared with you, giving so that we can reach out and touch the lives of others as well. God's got a plan, and it's a good one. Be a part of it. Join the 700 Club today. It's 65 cents a day, $20 a month. We're reaching out to the world, meeting people's needs tangibly and meeting their needs spiritually as well. You want to be a part of that. When you join us today, and you can do that by calling that toll-free number, we want to send you this great teaching by Pat. It's the 3 blessings. He talks about what are the 3 things he's asked God for over the course of his 50 years in ministry. And I think that they will be a blessing to you. I want you to get a hold of it so that you can learn for yourself how to apply those truths to your own life. It's for all of us. We're all the children of God. And all that He has is available to each of us. So call 1-800-759-0700. Say, I want to join the 700 Club, and we welcome you. Time for some email. You ready?
All right, I'm ready.
This is Rosalind, who says, I'm 22 years old, 9 months pregnant, and scared to death about being a parent. My fear is that I'm too young. Do you think God can still use me?
Rosalind, yes, God can still use you. Just read in the Bible, Jeremiah, he thought he was too young. Timothy thought he was too young. The Apostle Paul said, let no one despise your youth. Take encouragement from Mary. Bible scholars think that she was just a teenager when she gave birth to the Savior of the world. And her response to the angel was, let it be unto me according to your word. Realize God is with you. And once you have that and the knowledge that He's with you, then He'll instruct you on how to be a parent, how to be a great mother, and just start thinking, okay, 22 years from now, you'll be 44 and your wonderful child will be 22 and you get to start it all over again. So God's with you. No matter what, He will never leave you. He will never forsake you. If you want advice, just ask Him.
This is Chris, who says, I'm struggling with sexual immorality and I can't seem to overcome it. What can I do?
Chris, the best way to deal with this is fast. Some things come out only by fasting and prayer, and I would encourage you to not just a 1-day, 2-day, but fast until you get the victory over it. It may take you a couple of times, but fasting is the key to breaking sexual sin. We leave you these words from Psalm 59. I will sing of your power. Yes, I will sing aloud of your mercy in the morning, for you have become my defense and refuge in the day of my trouble. For Terry, for Lee, for all of us, God bless you. We'll see you again on Monday.
It hindered my ability to walk or run. I had to cancel lessons all the time and cancel all the programs that I had planned. And I saw my career gone. I had never really understood the purpose of money even and what my responsibilities were. And I always thought that we had to have a lot to give. And the more I gave, the more kids would come. I would like to say, it's my great skills or something. It's not. I'm giving to God. I'm obeying. I'm obedient. That's it. I chose CBN because it helped me find a way to help change the world for Christ. My business has grown 5 times what it was in 2005. 5 times that. I think any type of investment or any type of giving is an act of faith. To be honest with you, I can't wait to write the check. It's the best investment that I can imagine. You can't outgive God.